Welcome, everybody. Wow, it's exciting seeing you all. Welcome to this Q&A call. There is probably going to be more people dropping in over time, but I think that we can start. What do you think, Johan?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Maybe just before we start, I just want to say hello to everybody, להגיד שלום בעברית, ולהגיד שאנחנו נעשה את המפגש הזה באנגלית. אם מישהו מתקשה להבין, אתם יכולים לכתוב לנו בצ'אט, אנחנו נעקוב אחרי הצ'אט, אפשר גם לכתוב בעברית שאלות, אם אתם רוצים. The rest of this call will be in English, and it's so nice to see everyone. Maybe also we would like to introduce ourselves.
Yes.
So shall we introduce ourselves first, or you guys?
Well, I just want to also welcome all the people that are not coming in here from Israel. There are some people from Europe, from Switzerland, from Südtirol. So this is a very international gathering. Very exciting. And then I don't know where. I'm Marianne. I'm one of the facilitators of this deep dive in Israel. I'm his wife, Johan's wife. Yeah, we are so excited to come to Israel and do this there. And now I give the word over to somebody else.
So I'm the husband of Marianne. I am the co-leader. And we will describe for you today a little bit about what to expect in the deep dive. But first I want Ram and Amnon to introduce yourselves.
So I'm Ram Eisenberg, and we met Johan and Marianne about 2 years ago, I think, and we have done 3 deep dives with them and some microdosing and another kind of course that actually went on during the war. It was very difficult to follow at that time, but nevertheless, we feel that we have I feel that we have encountered something very profound and very deep, and we want to share it with our friends. And so that's why we invited them to come to Israel, and you will hear more about it as we go on. Amnon?
Hey, I'm Ram's partner, and as you said, we were both in deep dives in Switzerland. Very exciting, and each one was totally different. And yes, and we're very excited to have this opportunity to do it here in Israel. So let's see, we're eager to know what comes out.
So
I also want to ask people if you don't mind to write your names if you don't have a name, just a phone number, if you can change your name so we can kind of know who you are when we communicate with you afterwards.
So we still have people coming in, which is a little bit with a bling.
Yeah, maybe it will take long for everyone to introduce themselves. Maybe we should just introduce the program.
Very long.
Yeah, I think that I would like to give you a little bit of an orientation about this call. We are thinking about taking about 1 hour or maybe a bit longer than an hour to get the information through and be able to answer all your questions. But we are not aiming for much longer than an hour if possible. And we would like to start with Johan and I just telling you a little bit about this mushroom, about the different, the scientific part. What are these substances doing with us? Why is this different than other mushrooms or other substances? A little bit about what a deep dive is and what you can expect from a deep dive. And then we will ask Ram to give you an idea about the practical orientation of this event in Israel, the location, the practical stuff. And then we want to open the space for questions. And you can either then, open your microphone and ask your question or write them in the chat. And Amnon will have an eye on the chat, and then either he will read them out for you. So either you can say them yourself or just write them down. Okay, and we will.
And maybe one more word. We would like to record this for the benefit of the people who are not here who couldn't come this evening, but some people asked for recording. So we would like to record it, and afterwards we will only have the presenters on the video. So you could ask your questions, but your faces will not be shown. And we just want to make sure that this is okay with everyone. So if anybody is not okay with that, can you let Amnon know in the chat, or just mark for us that it's okay with you? But if even if one person it's not okay, do let us know, so that we don't want to infringe on anyone's privacy. So Amnon, you would let us know if there's a.
Sure, I will.
Thank you. Okay. Johan, would you like to start to talk a little bit about this?
So the story is like this. As before any Christmas celebration one winter, I started to wonder, why are we hanging small little plastic figurines of this mushroom in our Christmas tree? It's a very old tradition. My mom has many different versions of this mushroom. It always comes out before Christmas, and we decorate the whole home with it. I became quite curious about what is this about, and have been nudged into understanding more and more and getting a little bit more input. But at that time, there was almost no information available online. But I got really, really interested when someone online described an experience that was matching my teaching of superphysical phenomena. Teachings that are originating with Hylozoics and Pythagoras, ancient Greek. And that gained my interest, because I've never heard anyone talk about a substance or a practice or anything that could achieve those states. So then I have to order, of course, and try it out. Very suspicious in the beginning. 10 gram, took a little bit in my mouth. Didn't know if I'm going to die or not, because it is so poisonous according to everyone. But it turns out it's a mushroom like most others, that it's dose dependent, what the effect that you have. And it's similar to many mushrooms, as it generates neuroplasticity. And it also introduces beta or theta brainwave state in your brainwave readings. So it does something to our body that allows certain consciousness states or feeling states to appear. Marianne and I, we went deep into the whole story and the traditions. Me, as a Swede from Sweden, having long, thousands of years of history where the use of this mushroom is part of it. Siberia, other continents also. And we invited a shaman from, he was in India at the time, to do the first deep dive with us here. So we had some kind of guidance. And since then, we have been leading, I think, 230 individuals into these sessions. And it's just completely mind-blowing what is happening for people.
I would like to come in here shortly. Okay. So what is very, maybe a little bit about our background. We kind of like forgot to talk about that. We have been working with personal development for the last 30 years. 25, 30 years, I'm a bit younger. And I have also had a long story with working with ayahuasca and with iboga. And so the idea of mind-altering substances is very close to my path of development. And then there is this mushroom that works very differently than other plants and substances in the sense that it doesn't really induce a trip or take you on a journey so much as much as it actually sedates your personality and all the parts that your consciousness is very attached to and believes this is me and this is reality and all these things that are holding us in this reality, how we perceive it. And it's just guiding us more and more back into our original consciousness and rather taking away things instead of taking us somewhere. And then in there, we can go places inside of our own consciousness. And that has been a big revelation for us because suddenly we could see that all these teachings and practices and ancient texts and religions, different kinds of religions, even they were suddenly was pointing us to the actual experiences that people must have had that then gave rise to certain writings or teachings or descriptions of places that they have visited. There was an objectivity to the experiences that we witnessed people having or the coordinates that they could visit in their consciousness.
Yeah, so a deep dive, the way we have trademarked it, just for fun. So a deep dive is where you get a flood dose, a saturated dose of Amanita muscaria. We use the dried cap of the mushroom and we make a powder out of it. And we mix many caps together so that we have an equal dosage because the strength of the substances can vary a lot between different mushrooms, individual mushrooms. And then, depending on your body weight, you get about 0.2 grams of air-dried Amanita muscaria powder per kilo. And this usually is enough to bring you into these hallucinative states, this dissociative states, where your personality is no longer filtering your experience. And the effect of the high dose, it starts to be noticeable after maybe half an hour, but the real effect is on after about 2 hours. And then it can go on for about 10 more hours. So it's a very long journey, if you want to call it that. We are careful with not using shamanistic terms or mystical terms. We don't really want to become gurus or religious leaders or have any type of mysticism mixed into this. There is absolutely no need for any type of layer of mysticism because the experience is the most mystical experience one can ever have. So we don't have to put layers of sacredness or holiness that is not genuine in between. So we don't use traditional shamanistic terms. And during the experience, all kinds of things happen for different people is different things because you are basically not being taken to a place outside of yourself where you're looking at things like in a psychedelic trip maybe. Instead, you are being brought into the core of yourself. And we don't know what you bring with you in your core or on your way in there. So there is no entities that can come and jump into you. There is no risk for possession. There's no interaction with anything in the astral world or all these people, these other beings that are out there waiting to interact with us. There's usually nothing like that because you're completely in yourself and your own story. And then you can go either downwards to your subconsciousness or upwards into your superconsciousness. And I wish that I could tell you that you can navigate this, but we don't seem to have so much choice. We end up where we end up, and we will have an experience. It seems like they're standing waiting for us that we can take the first one in line.
Something that might actually have an impact is your intention that you are setting for yourself for the session, because in a way you're priming your sub and super consciousness to lead you to what is the door that you need to open as an experience or as a trauma that needs to be visited to be reintegrated, or a place in your super consciousness where you get some high level orientation about your life or about the universe. We don't know where you're going, but your intention seems to be a magical ingredient in your experience.
Okay, so that is in very rough terms. We usually start the day before with orientation, tuning into the location, preparing everything, giving you the needed information and tips and tricks that you need before the journey. And then during the day, usually the next day or in the late evening, depending on how we put up the schedule, they have this 12-hour journey. And after that, we usually have some rest. And then the day after, we have debriefing. And then we all share. And it's a mystical experience, not only for us as individuals. It seems as if the group is somehow destined to have these experiences together because there is a lot of interplay. There are instances of telepathy, and there are instances of someone has an answer to a question that someone else had, and so on. Quite the mystical pottery. It's very difficult to tell everyone, like you could maybe for a psilocybin trip, what to expect, because it's going to be a very specific. We just spoke about it earlier, that now we come to Israel for the first time, and we expect the unexpected with a different type of people, a different location, and the world events, etc.
Collective subconsciousness, a different, you're in a completely different life experience at this point. So there we have a lot of respect for this experience, of course. And maybe also, since you mentioned now the psilocybin mushroom, to understand this, it's not a psychedelic. Amanita muscaria is not a psychedelic mushroom. It's a psychoactive mushroom that is more like a delirium. So it is a hallucinogenic, which is means that in a deep dive, you can really, your consciousness can completely leave your body, and you can have a very real experience that is, from the outside, you would call it a hallucination because it's not really connected to this shared reality that we are here having a consensus about. But it's nevertheless very real, and often experienced as more real as this here. Many people then describe that suddenly they're actually waking up in the eternal now. So it's like something very unique. And what can happen with this mushroom is that your body becomes very active while its owner is not at home. The owner is having a different experience, but the body is acting out things or even revisiting an experience and living that, but the owner is actually not aware of that. This is why we need a strong team of helpers, and we will talk more about the helping side of things, because we make sure in a deep dive that the body is safe. This is basically the only thing that could considered a bit risky with this mushroom, if one would do it without sitters, without people that are actually holding a safe space, is that your consciousness could completely go away. And then your body could be doing things where you could harm yourself or others. So this is a very different element. There's many things that are actually quite different. So if you have a lot of experience with other substances, I understand there's a lot of very experienced individuals here. Just know that this one is different. It is not a psychedelic.
Yeah, so I think that maybe if we talk a little bit more about the practical side, I guess the questions can cover the rest. Otherwise, this will be a 3-hour session. If we just keep talking, because there's more to talk about for at least 3 hours. I have to unmute.
I am muted. Okay. Maybe we just give a little bit background on the venue, where we're going to have this and what it's going to look like. And then Marianne will talk a little bit about helping, and then we will just, I think the rest will just come out through the questions, and that would be the best. So just the place we will be in is a place in Be'er Milka, which is like one of the most out of the way places in the end of a road leading towards the Egyptian border. It's actually past the Be'er Milka itself. It's in the agricultural area, and there's some people who have set up a wonderful place inside a cactus growing farm, where they have set up a place specifically for these kind of ceremonies. And so in the place, we have one very large greenhouse with nets shaded, and in it, like there is a place for eating, there is a big kitchen, there are cactuses, and there's also lots of place where people can just set up tents, and that's where we will be sleeping, in the tents inside the greenhouse, protected in the greenhouse. They have mattresses, but other than that, everybody has to bring their own tent to have a sense of privacy, or you just sleep on a mattress if you don't want privacy. There's plenty of room to set up tents in the greenhouse. Then there is also one very big kind of, I wouldn't call it a tent exactly, it's a structure. They have a round structure for the ceremony itself, which is outside. There are bathrooms and hot water showers and running water toilets. It's all very clean and very nicely set up. There is also like a place to make fire. There is a small pool that probably will be open already in May. It was closed when I was there, but it's winter. And the most important thing is that right across from where we will be, there is the desert. There's just, we could just walk out into a little ravine, and then across it there are sand dunes. And it's very, very open and remote, and you can just walk. Of course, during the dive itself, we would walk with you if you want to walk far away, but there is this sense of openness and being close to nature. So that's about the place. The food, we will be vegetarian. And also we will not be eating before the dive. So basically the first day is a kind of a fasting day, or just eating very, very lightly, everybody according to what they feel. But it's important to have your body restful and your tummy restful before taking a big dose of amanita. After the dive, we will have a nice big dinner and nice food, nice vegetarian and organic food. As to Shoyle's food transportation, the place is totally out of the way for public transportation, as far as I know. Maybe there's one bus a day, I'm not sure, but we will once people register, we will have a group and we will communicate with each other on like how to help each other get there. We will make sure everybody gets there. Also, okay, I will tell you the end of things. We end the first session on Saturday afternoon, and so also, if need be, we will need to arrange for a ride for people to Beersheba, from where they can also take public transportation if people don't come with their own cars. Something about the timing. So Yom Ha'atzmaut, Independence Day, is on Thursday. And it's a great opportunity to not be in the crowds, doing the alayesh and burning, smoking and making noise. But for those of you who like that, you can still do it in the morning. We will start in the afternoon. But I encourage you not to eat a lot of meat on Yom Ha'atzmaut if you intend to come to the first deep dive. Then we will have a deep dive. We will have the introductions on Thursday afternoon and evening, and the preparation. And we will start the dive we will go to sleep, but wake up very, very early in the morning before sunrise. And we will begin the deep dive before sunrise, still at night, and be in the dive already when the sun comes up, so that we actually have time to kind of come up with the day and enter the day within the deep dive, which means that probably around noon is when it's over, and then people can go and rest. And in the afternoon, we can wake up. In the evening, we will have a nice dinner, fire, etc. on Friday. And then Saturday morning will be a debriefing day. And then Saturday afternoon, for those who want to go to leave, that will be the time to leave. For those who want to stay, then we will have a second deep dive. There will be more people coming in on Saturday afternoon. And we will return on the same process. We will have an introduction, and then Sunday morning, just before sunrise, we will have another deep dive, and then it will go on the same process and ending on Monday afternoon. For those of you who are interested, there is a possibility to do a dive and being a helper, either beginning by being a helper and doing a dive after, or doing a dive first and then staying on to be a helper. I think this is a very unique setup that we've come up with. I don't think Johan and Marianne, you've done this before, but I think this is, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it would be just an incredible opportunity, because I've seen the helpers in my dives and how eager they were to be helpers, because there's something about, maybe you can say something about this, about what is the benefit of being a helper and seeing other people going through such an experience. And also I think for those of you who take the first dive, being there longer is a kind of a longer integration time for you to kind of really let that sink in, whatever came. So I definitely recommend that. What else do I need to say? Oh yes, we would like to know, for those of you who register, how you would prefer for us to communicate with you. The easiest, we tried with the Telegram group, but I'm not sure that everybody is getting the messages. Maybe people don't have Telegram pop up for them. So maybe we should switch to WhatsApp group or by email. I think if everybody could write in the chat, what would be your preferred way of communication, then that would help us set it up so that because once we have the group going, we would have to communicate with everyone about transportation and all kinds of things to get it all working well. So that's important. I think that's it for me for now, and maybe in the questions I think there will be more.
Thank you, Ram. Yeah, maybe to that the aspect of being a helper. I think what you just said is very good, that one would have more integration. And I also think it would be an amazing experience to even come first as a helper and then go into the dive, because you had more time to actually tune into the field. So I think that both these possibilities are really interesting. And what we have seen is that we have basically made this our way of doing it, that we have people that have been in the dive who are interested. We invite them to come as helpers, and this is how we are having a growing team here in Switzerland of people who then maybe come many times to help or just come in once or twice, and all of them say that this is just as much a transformational experience than being a diver yourself, because there is something so deeply human about this, about helping each other go deep and meet places inside of us where we have trauma or things to integrate, or where we can deeply release something, or whatever it is. We are helping each other go there, and it's not like we are the professionals and you are the clients that have a problem to solve. No, we are all humans who have over thousands of years done these things together, where we are helping each other in these different roles. And for some people who, for example, have been really gone in a deep dive, who have been really actually don't really know what happened, for them, which can happen, that you can have a deep dive and your consciousness goes away and you don't remember. All you notice is afterwards in your life that things might be different, that suddenly you might have access to places that you had not access to before, or that suddenly doors start to open in your life that you were not able to open before. So for us, it's much more interesting what happens after the dive. It's not about the experience in the dive. But for people who have been, for example, completely gone, when they then can be with a body where the owner of this body is also completely gone, it kind of it brings pieces of the puzzle into their own consciousness of wow, we can actually completely leave and the body can stay here and the body has its own consciousness. And to go into this kind of unconditional serving, I think that's a good experience for all of us anyway. So there's many aspects about being a helper that we can highly recommend. It adds to your own integration of your experience for sure, that we see all the time for people. And I think that for the people who will sign up also as a helper, we will anyway have also separate calls to really give you the preparation of what can happen, how do we deal with things, so that you can really feel relaxed and oriented when we arrive there. We will see to that you really get the tools and the information that you need to do this in a relaxed way. What is important to understand if you come as a helper is that you actually might need to hold a body down, or that there might be somebody becoming. One of the substances of this mushroom, one of the main substances, is ibotenic acid, which it works on the part of our brain that is for excitement, for the sympathetic arousal part. And that can have the effect on the body that the muscle gets more strong, the body gets really strongly activated, not in the way how we know it, like, oh, I'm a little bit up, but very actively strong, especially strong young men, for example, they could become very active. And this is something as a helper one needs to know, that you would need to be not afraid of going and holding somebody, or sometimes we need to actually, restrict someone so that they cannot hurt themselves or others. So it is a little bit of an interesting situation. We don't want to scare you, but it's really different than with other substances. It's not just mellow and calm and quiet. It can become quite dynamic. But we have done this now many times, and although we are always surprised with new things that we are encountering, so far we have been able to contain a lot in a very good way. And it might be one of the only places at this point in the world where we can go to places inside of us that in society we cannot go to, not even in trauma therapy, not even in other settings that are super health, but something about this mushroom is actually helping us to get access to deep anchors that might even be from another lifetime, things that are really holding us back to move forward, that keep us in our loops of life after life, having to experience very similar situations, very similar suffering. So we see it as a booster of humanity's development at this point in time, where there is a global wave of awakening happening. And we see there is no accident that this mushroom is suddenly coming back to humanity as a tool, because it's an amazing tool to wake up and to become more of a conscious creator in your life and not be so much bound to your mechanical repetitions that you just have to do until you have integrated it all, which is, we can't get away from that, but there seems to be forces that help us to speed things up a little bit, to eat our karma a little bit faster. So this is what we open the space for, and we invite you to be part of this on both sides, and both sides are quite exciting and enriching, really.
So we have been using several keywords here that might stand out a little bit. We have mentioned reincarnation, and we have mentioned other things, early lifetimes, and so on. And it's not so that we have a model that we are pushing onto these experiences. We are basing our way of talking about this on the experiences that people are having. So we look at it more as a research area for consciousness and coordinates and locations. My interest is to map this whole world out. I want to map out the different places we can go to with our consciousness. What happens when we are sedating our personality? What are we then? Who are we then? What do we identify as? And if there is a higher consciousness, how does that look like? How does it feel like? How do you experience that? And also your subconsciousness. What is lurking in your subconsciousness? And also the separation between the different bodies, the physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, your causal body. There are names that are there because people have had these experiences and have tried to map things out, and they were forced to name it something. And then, of course, anytime we use a naming nomenclature, we are risking creating a new religion or a new dogma. So we are very careful with these words, and you will have the opportunity to experience yourself.
Something that I would like to add on now is that how we normally do this is that we are recommending people to microdose the mushroom a few months or weeks before a deep dive. Like this, your body and your system, your biological system actually got a chance to get to know these substances that are in this mushroom. There's this excitatory substance, the ibotenic acid, and then there's another substance which is called muscimol, which has a more relaxing and calming effect on the reptile brain. So we have these two substances that are almost oppositional, and they work on our nervous system. So there is a lot of very gentle recalibration of our nervous system that happens through microdosing. And it can also really help to become clear about, so what is my intention for this? Because it will help you. This effect that we have in a deep dive where you can completely disconnect from your body with your consciousness, it is a little bit of a disassociative in it. And in microdosing, it can give you that chance to just disconnect a little bit from your patterns, a little bit from your mechanical identifications, your personality, the roles that you play in your life, and you can start to become more centered in your actual being. It introduces a lot of a more groundedness in the here and now, the microdosing. And is a very, very good way of preparing for a deep dive. In fact, we would really recommend that. So if you are interested, we will figure out either you would maybe order directly with us. I think that might be the easiest, or with somebody else. You know, there's many people who sell Amanita muscaria. It doesn't have to be us. But I think that customs-wise, that would be easier to ship single packages than one big one to Ram and Amnon right now. We will figure this out, but that would be something that we would recommend for you to do.
Oh, as far as I know, it's not illegal to ingest this mushroom. It might be, they might not like it if you start to sell it publicly in Israel, but I don't think it's listed as a substance that they are keeping an eye on. There are a few countries in the world where there's restrictions to the mushroom, but for most countries, it's legal to pick it in nature, prepare it, eat it, send it, ship it, sell it. Just so you know.
I have a question here in the chat about the dose of microdosing. We are always saying there is a range for the microdose, but I think that we will give you some sort of a document where you can get a little bit of information about microdosing. But just for you to know, the range is between 0.1 and 2 grams, something like that. It's extremely individual. We just know that for some people who are very sensitive, they need very, very little. And somebody who is not so sensitive, they need a little bit more. But the thing is, microdosing should be subperceptional. That means you shouldn't feel intoxicated, or like, that's not anyway, but such a strong word, but you shouldn't feel that you're having a substance that you're being metabolizing, but rather you should feel the support of like feeling maybe more grounded, maybe feeling more oriented or more awake, or depending on which of the substances your system is more, responding to, you will have more of an effect of maybe having the support to move in the direction that your intention is guiding you into. So it should be on that level, sub-perceptional. So you could, within that range, you could just look. I start with something, many people start with like 0.3 or 0.5 grams per day or twice a day, and then you see how you feel. And either you feel, oh, I haven't taken a substance, I can actually feel it, then you go a little bit down with the dosage, or you can just stay with the dosage and go with that for a few days and see how that is, because the substances are also kind of accumulating in the system. So after a while, you don't have to take more and more and more to feel something, because it's not about feeling something. It's really more about opening doors inside, gently recalibrating, gently centering into your own being, opening the doors to sub and super consciousness, bringing in some neuroplasticity, bringing in this disassociative element that helps you to differentiate between your being and your personality, all these things. So it's much more, it should be a tool for your inner work, not a medicine that you take so that you feel better or something like that. So this is how you would, monitor your microdose. And then just do that for a few weeks or so. Okay. Let's open for questions, for more questions now.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So you said that the consciousness might leave the body, and the body might do things that's that should be restricted. It's at first glance, it seems like it's an entity comes to the body. This is sometimes what causes the body to act in certain ways, not encouraged ways to affect. I know. Did you understand my question? So how can it be if it's not psychedelic, or if there are no entities entering the body?
This is a fascinating question and a really good observation on your part. It turns out that when our conscious mind is busy with something else, our physical body, when it's left alone, has its own consciousness. It's extremely limited. For instance, it happens often that someone that is lying on a mattress, we notice when we observe them that they are tossing and turning, they're becoming restless. And we can see that when we look at their eyes, that there is no real person that we're looking in. There is no one there who can respond to when we ask them how they are, for instance. And then we can draw the conclusion that the person has left, or the normal consciousness had left. But the body is still there. And what we can do then is, often we do like this. We ask, do you need to go to the toilet? And then the body, like that. And then we guide the person to the toilet. We guide the body. We call it the pet. It's like having a pet. Our body is our pet. So we guide the pet to the toilet, takes care of the business, and come back again and lay the body down. So it's clearly not a possession. It's basically impossible, because there is no opening. The substance doesn't open up anything to any other entity. You're just going into full centeredness and full alignment in your core, both upwards and downwards. We've never seen anything that could be interpreted as possession whatsoever. Yeah.
All right, thank you. And one more question: what is the dosage for a deep dive?
I would say about 0.2 grams per kilogram body weight.
0.2 grams.
If
If someone weighs 80 kilograms, so he
But
should take
15, 16 grams. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
I know. But
And it's safe, right? It's not poisonous. I heard that it's poisonous, so this is why I came here to participate in this this meeting, to know about all the misinformation. So okay, if you say it's not poisonous and we will be healthy afterwards, so it's okay.
Well, it's poisonous in the sense that it alters your consciousness so much that it can become dangerous for yourself. If you're hallucinating and walk around in a busy street, you will put yourself and others in danger. So there are dangers with the mushroom, but so far, physically, we know of no one that have been eating so much Amanita muscaria that they have died from the substances in the mushroom. It's not poisonous in that respect. There can be some vomiting happening, but it's really very kind and it tastes fantastic. It's a very kind mushroom to your system, but it does things with who you think you are. It sedates your personality, and you are coming in contact with your essence, who you really are behind all these masks and layers. So no, poisonous, I think everything can be poisonous. It depends on the dose. But we have found sweet spots and for microdosing, macrodosing, deep dives. And then there are, of course, shamanic doses, which we are not experimenting yet. There are stories of shamans in Siberia that are gone for weeks, months, or even a year. And they have to tell their relatives not to bury their body because they will be back at one point. But we're not experimenting with those dosages. So we're keeping it very safe. As I said, 230 individual dives so far and no physical harm.
All right. That's great to hear and great to know. Thank you.
I can say something else to your question shortly about the body, the pet. There are also the memories that are stored in the body, especially situations where we have dissociated, where we were, when it actually happened, we were dissociated, but the body experienced it. And then the body actually gets a chance to relive that, but not in a way that is traumatic, because the waking consciousness is not so much there, but the body might act it out or might cry a lot, or it might have to scream or something. But it's actually just something where there is like a remembering happening. The body gets a chance to relive things that it has stored in its cells that is otherwise working like an anchor to us because we can't access it with our normal consciousness. So that's another explanation for some of the acting out things that
All
are
right. So it's a kind of healing of traumas that the body has experienced.
can be like that, yes.
That's very common.
Have to be, but that's what we say. We don't know what you come with. Everybody comes with our big bag in our subconsciousness of stuff that we have experienced that we are not even aware of that we experienced. And depending on what our intention is, maybe there's something that we need to encounter, or maybe we just connect with our super consciousness and get guidance there. So this we don't know what is going to happen for the individual.
I just want to touch on that because the work with trauma, many people have a strong respect for that for good reasons. In the work with Amanita muscaria, there is opportunities to reconnect to that original emotional or feeling state, or that bundles of feelings in such situations that you have collected over the years. Or there might be one instance that happened to you. But instead of identifying with these fully and say, I am feeling so, or this is very, very strong, I'm immersed in it fully, it's as if you can be it and at the same time observe it, which means that you're not taken by it in the same way. So even if you can feel it fully and you get the benefit of full exploration, of full integration, it hasn't re-traumatized you. You're a little bit on the side. You can be a little bit observant. So people can be very loud, but they at the same time you can approach them and say, how are you doing? Then they can switch and say, it's okay, I'm working with the trauma right now. And then they go back. Just so that you know. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? How is during the night, during the session, you give it some guidance, or there is just music?
So there are different thoughts of this, of how to do it. Since we're doing group journeys, we have many people in proximity of each other, sometimes in a small room even. And therefore we can't go in the direction where they say it has to be absolutely still, which is one way of doing it. But we allow then the dynamic that happens, because often a participant has experienced something that triggers a very important experience in someone else. And this is a mystical thing, and we really have come to appreciate it very much. When it comes to the soundscape, we usually, when we're doing this indoors, we have some kind of speaker system running with some kind of white noise neutral soundscapes, like very soft music without emotional impact. So not like a movie score or anything like that. It's very simple, what do you call it? Ambient music and nature sounds like waves and so on, very calming. We don't want to inject anything emotional into you, so we keep it as calm as possible, but still with such a volume that if someone burps or farts or coughs or something, that it doesn't disturb the session.
And to your question about if we give guidance, this is the thing that the day before the dive, we give you a thorough orientation about all the things that might happen or that you might experience on physical, emotional, mental levels. So we really prep you well so that you're not just coming into this experience and have no clue what you are going into. Of course, it's still your mystery that you're diving into, but there are some common experiences that we can talk about. So this is what you're getting. And then during the dive, everybody's lying on their mat, and we have this sound scope in the background. And then the team of helpers is very attentive. We are like always in the room with you. And if somebody needs something, they lift a hand, and then we go and check in. And so, that can be anything from needing to talk about something or needing help with vomiting or having to go to the toilet, which we then will have to help you with because the body is not so functioning so well anymore. So we are there all the time for whatever is needed in the moment.
If you, like someone might have a condition for them that I don't want to be touched by a man, for instance, you ask for that and we make sure that that is understood by everyone in the team, if that is very important for you. But everyone in the team is very well instructed and are very respective of these altered state because they are usually been in it themselves. So we are very, very, very careful. In a therapeutic sense, we are very, very present. And very important that we are respecting every boundaries that you state before the dive, right? So if you have something like that, you let us know. And we usually do the dives with anything from 10 to 16 to 20. We've been to 24, I think was the biggest one so far, participants. But now it's Ram and Amnon have to monitor that and make sure that it's good spread between the 2 days. We try to fill the first day, but not overcrowded so that we can spread it out over the 2 sessions. But you will have to talk with Ram and Amnon.
We also want to say
how many helpers.
I just want to add here something, that the number of participants is also dependent on the number of helpers that we have. So we want to have at least 1 helper per 2 participants so that there's like a lot of attention available in the room. And that means that it really, and I'm saying this now here because if we know that we have a lot of participants in Israel, then we may bring some helpers from Switzerland because some people are really waiting and hoping to come to be helpers. But until we have registrations, we don't know. So, so at the moment, it will be the helpers are us, Amnon and me, and Johan and Marianne, of course, and then people who sign up who want to be helpers. And there may be a couple more. Some other people who have done Amanita in Israel who may be with us.
I think we lost Ram there. Yeah, so the good balance between helpers and participants, of course. I'll just go on with the questions, Maria. Ram will come back. So do people remember what happened to them during these 10, 12 hours? And it can be so that you remember partially certain things, and then there were periods that you can't remember anything. Maybe you just feel that you fell asleep even. But there are also participants that have a very strong memory of every single second through the whole thing. Many people take notes. We had one participant recording themselves on a camera for half an hour, sharing to their future self to listen to the next day. But they forgot to speak, so they just looked at themselves in the camera for 30 minutes. So all kinds of funny things can happen. But what we do say is that usually if you come with an intention, if you come with an instruction, your subconsciousness is the perfect AI, and it doesn't make mistakes. So you can really prompt yourself. And if you ask a big question, you will get a big file downloaded into your system, and it might take days just for that file to unzip. And then for you to digest it might take even longer. So you have to realize that this event is such a peak experience, it's such a peak event that the reverberations and the effects will last for months afterwards, maybe even forever, right? And when you have decided that you want to take part, either as a helper or as a diver or both, we suggest that you start as soon as possible with the microdosing. The best is to have done it at least a few weeks before. It's a way of accustoming your body to the substances. Also, any possible allergies, which is extremely rare, never happen, we've never seen one, but then at least you can exclude that possibility. So it's good to start with microdosing and have it done maybe for a few weeks at least before the dive. Yeah.
Other aspects of preparation I wonder about regarding diet or restriction of other substances, also mental preparation or psychological preparation. I mean, there's this meeting today to hear about, but is there any other setting or sessions we will have before the ceremony or deep dive?
Yeah. So the microdosing is a really good preparation. And when it comes to diet and things, we are keeping it very open. We don't want to give any rules that you believe that you have to follow, because we haven't really seen so many rules. We could not say, oh, if you eat this, then it's not going to work out, or if you eat that, or so. What we see is it's very good to not have cannabis in your system. It's very good to stop smoking cannabis as soon as you know that you're going to go to a deep dive. So best would be like 3 months no cannabis, or 2 months, or whatever is possible, just to keep the system like free from that, because we can see sometimes people who have strong cannabis use, there's like almost like the substances cannot really dock to their system. We don't really know. For some people it's no problem, but sometimes we can see that. So cannabis I would take out. Also, of course, alcohol, anything that is sedating, that has a sedating effect, you would definitely not want to, because muscimol is sedating, and it's attaching to the GABA receptors. And if you have too much of that, then you could sedate yourself just out of incarnation. So we do not want that. And that said, is that the one counter indication is antidepressants. So we would not want you to take part in a deep dive if you're taking antidepressants.
That especially if you're taking high dosages. So that's when it can add to the other substances in the mushroom. And we don't want to, in general, to mix any other substance in, especially if they're psychoactive, because the mushroom is old, but we have lots of new substances. We don't really know what the mix actually means. We haven't done enough research, not enough cases. So in the deep dive that we lead, we don't allow you to mix in other substances.
Yeah. So, and in terms of preparation, of course, it's very good to really become very conscious about why would you want to do this? What is your intention with this? With really connecting with your deeper self, with your higher self, with your alignment. Why are you doing this? So that is part of the preparation, and that will be very much supported with the microdosing. And then in the days and weeks before, if you can in some way cleanse your body, that is always good for so many reasons. It makes us more conscious. It is there is something about preparing your body that is almost like it's being rewarded then. It's like you actually took this seriously. It's not just like, yeah, and then I take the mushroom and but if you actually, for example, people that fast before, they have very often a much stronger experience. So fasting is always a good idea. We just don't want you to fast so intensely that you then come and you are kind of like wobbly or weak, or you have strained your body so much that then the experience in the deep dive is even almost too much for your pet. So we don't want that. But if you are experienced with fasting, or if you can do it in a gentle way, or at least eat very cleanly, and then of course the day before anyway to not eat, that is a good preparation.
And we have also learned that smoking during the event, or even slightly after, is not a good idea. And in fact, many people actually stop smoking after having done a deep dive. It's not uncommon. They don't smoke again afterwards. And then if some of you feel that you are you're very good at doing altered states, you're a psychonaut, you've done everything, you just checkbox everything off, I would really ask you to consider that there is still something that you have no idea about. So the spiritual egos get really slapped around a lot, especially those who think that, well, I've done all the other mushrooms, I can do this mushroom. And then after they say, okay, this was special, this is different. Just so that you know that there is still something that you haven't, there are doors that haven't opened yet. Yeah.
I just want to say here that we just cut out because of the electricity shortcut. I don't know if what I spoke, if you've heard me to the end.
Kind of, yes.
About
about
the assistance from
Albert.
Switzerland. Did I say about this?
Yes, you did. Very good.
And that it's important to register as soon as possible so that we know how many people are really there.
Yeah, that would be really helpful for us, because then also we can.
Yeah.
So if you're already considering taking other mind-altering substances or psychedelics, it's good to distance them out a little bit so they don't interfere with each other. Make sure that it's out of your system completely, and that you have kind of like come back in your circles again before you do another one. For many good reasons. One of these reasons is for the research of actually knowing what this substance specifically, or this cocktail of substances in the mushroom, what they actually do for you. If you mix with others, you might not know what did what.
And also, you will be then microdosing in some way, and then it should be your substance of choice. It should be amanita, a deep dive, and not something else. Why? More medicine is not more healing, that's for sure. What do you mean, Anna? Vegan, gluten, and sugar-free a problem? Do you mean beforehand, or that is what, if you come there, that is how you would like to eat? Okay. I don't think that should be a problem, actually.
No, it's not a problem. We will take the food will be basically vegetarian and vegan, mostly vegan, a little bit maybe for vegetarian. There will be other choices, but if anybody has a special needs on food, we will just learn about it before and take care of you. So don't worry about it.
Is he talking?
You can talk. What's in?
May I ask? For how long should we take the microdose of Amanita before doing the Amanita? You already said for a few weeks, but how many weeks?
It's completely individual. It a little bit depends on what's possible. So we sometimes people want to sign up very spontaneously to a dive, and then it's enough for them to microdose for a week or so. So first, it's good that the body knows the substances a little bit, so that we can rule out that there is any adverse reactions or something, and also that you got a little bit of a chance to tune in with the substances. That's why we want to do that. But in the worst case, a week would be enough too. So it's not like, oh, it has to be so and so many weeks. No, just a little bit before.
All right. And regarding the microdose itself, we should take it at the first thing at the morning when we wake up. And should it be half an hour at least before our breakfast? Or
That is usually a common sense recommendation because then the substances had a chance to actually, give their vibration into your system. That's usually, especially when you start with something, a good recommendation. You can either start in the morning or take it the first thing in the morning. You could also take it towards the evening. We would just recommend don't take it too late before you go to bed because the ibotenic acid could make you very awake. So it after it's being transformed also through the stomach acid. So at some point it becomes also relaxing or calming, but that takes a little while. So if you go to bed at 10 in the evening and then at 9:45 you take your mushroom, you might be awake for quite a while. So that is something that we would not recommend, but if you take it in the morning, that's good.
I just see the question about sensitive emotional states, or if you're sensitive emotionally. I think that none of us can really avoid being quite emotionally impacted by what is happening in our surroundings nowadays. And there are a lot of things in us that are being triggered by the outer world and the conflicts and all that happens around us. So don't expect that you can be Buddhic and sit and have some kind of a samadhi experience. We come as we are. Everything is included. I would not want to have someone who is constantly psychotic or have such episodes where they're completely flipping out. Then they're a little bit too unstable for the rest of the group. But other than that, I don't see any issues. We all are emotionally damaged, impacted, disturbed, traumatic, etc. That's normal. We're all normal people. And you come as you are, and we hold space for you.
Anything else?
Hi. For how long before we should avoid other substances? You recommend? Because I have some plans in the next months.
Yeah, I mean, at least a week or 3-4 days if it's something minor. If it's something big, at least a week.
Okay. Not from now.
No, please go ahead.
Okay.
It's just good that they had a chance to leave your body so that your body is neutral again. That would be good.
Mm-hmm.
We're approaching 10 minutes past the hour. I just wanted to say I'm going to stay on, but please communicate with Ram and Amnon and check in with every details. Anything regarding the deep dives and the technical stuff about the deep dives, please communicate with me and Marianne. We are always on the Will Be One platform, and this WhatsApp group is probably going to happen that we're also always there. So you can always reach us.
Johan, do you have anything to say to that question here about the medicinal cannabis user? I actually don't know what to say to that.
A medicinal cannabis user is most likely someone who is using cannabis either to sleep better or to treat depression or other anxieties. And I think that I would, if you can't be without it, I would taper it down to the minimum level that you have to have, and then try to make a break. There seems to be a little bit of a battle between the cannabis and the Amanita muscaria in your system, and if you have too much of the cannabis, Amanita might not be able to do the work. But saying that the shaman that we invited, while the session, he is on a high dose himself, while holding space for everyone else and smoking cannabis like a maniac. So, everything is relative.
But I think maybe to clarify, do you avoid cannabis also when taking microdosing or only on the deep dive? Just to clarify this point.
That's a very interesting. If someone now is using cannabis regularly, I would really like to hear what happens if you start to microdose. Do you sense the difference, or does it not change your state? What we have heard is that people that are heavy smokers of cannabis, that they have less effects from the Amanita.
this is just experiential. We just heard from many people that these are the more the people that say, I don't notice anything, or that come to a dive and have like, I couldn't experience anything or something. That's all we know. It doesn't seem to be dangerous or anything. It's just really like, it seems that the receptors are then kind of like taken up. But I think that one would probably really find out yourself, like, yeah, like how is it to take cannabis and microdose at the same time and see how that goes. Well, with a combo cleanse beforehand, you can do that if you want to, but in my experience, combo can be quite rough on the body and can leave people quite weakened for quite a long time, like really shaky and needing to recalibrate their system. So it's not something that we recommend or that we are if you feel called to that, I would also not do that just in the days before, maybe a week before or so that you can really come back into your stability afterwards. But not necessary at all from our standpoint. Okay, I think that we are approaching the ending. Thank you so much for all your questions. Amnon?
Yeah, I want to add, because we had a lot of people wrote what they prefer about communication. And the best would be, because some people wrote WhatsApp and others Telegram, and the best would be for those of you who haven't yet registered through the website, please do, because there we sure have your at least phone number and email address. Because on Telegram, some of you don't have the name. I don't recognize your Telegram nickname with your other personality name. So the best would be please register in the website. Johan, can you just put the website, the URL in the chat?
Yeah, once you register, then we have all your information, also about diet and needs, etc. And then we will make a group and start to communicate more. We don't want to burden the group on Telegram with a lot of information. It's for people who just showed interest. But as soon as you are ready to commit and you want to be part of this, then we will communicate with you separately and directly about what to do. And of course, Johan and Marianne are here to assist you with any questions and with microdosing or personal. Oh, and also Johan and Marianne, you also talked about we spoke about doing another meeting after the deep dive, like about a month after.
Yes.
Where there would be a kind of another meeting of the group.
Exactly.
Follow-up call.
For reminding us. Yeah, so like 3-4 weeks after the deep dive, we usually do a follow-up call, because that is actually the most important thing, is the integration into life. So how are you with this experience? How is this unfolding in your life? So this is something that we really, really want you to take that to heart, to show up to the follow-up call. And we really make a point to hear from every one of the deep dives how they are in the weeks afterwards. Okay, Ram, Amnon, do you think we have covered it so far?
Well, if people don't have any more questions, and then we are done. If you have questions, we can still stay and answer questions.
Yes. But we look forward to meet you all, and I think that you should see yourself as a very brave pioneer.
There's another really good question here. Sorry.
We don't know.
I just want to answer, Shelley. It is recommended to have at least 1 day of complete rest after a deep dive. So at least one, I would say. Don't take a deep dive and go to work right after. I mean, you will need time for yourself.
Yeah, so the more time you can really have to let things build themselves back together in a new way, maybe, and not have to be forced back into a role that you have to fulfill, that your system that back into mechanicalness. That, of course, is very, very helpful. Give yourself some space. planned ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you.